Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Jill, Fiber Floozie Crafts, and today I want to show you a little short, I don't know how short it's going to be, but I'm hoping to have a fairly short tutorial on how to make these ornaments. So this one is a little scarf, it's just a little scarf and hat set. And it's a very beginner friendly set, and the things I'm using for this are Knit Picks Dishy. You can use any cotton or any 4-weight yarn, but I'm using I decided I wanted to use this color red, so I just decided on this one, which is 100% cotton. But it's a number 4 weight, so anything in number 4 weight in a red and a white. This one is also cotton, and it is the Peaches and Cream. I'm also using a fuzzy yarn, so any kind of like a faux fur or novelty yarn that will be fuzzy around the edge of the hat. And then for the pom-poms, you can get the pom-poms in a package at your craft store, but I am using this, which is a trim, pom-pom trim, and I just am cutting the little poms off and putting them on the hat. And then I'm using a size G hook. So let's get started. I'm glad you're here. I hope you don't have any problems with this. If you do, please email me and I will do my best to help you. And my email will be listed in the description box below. So I hope you have fun making this. Let's get started. Okay, we're going to start with the red. Now, if you have never crocheted before, you could definitely make this ornament. You're going to take your yarn, put it over your finger, make a circle, come around the back side of the loop right here, tuck that in to the circle and grab it. Using the size G hook. Now we're going to chain. I grab the yarn with my hand, wrap it around my finger like that, so it goes right over from the inside across the back of the finger. I come down with my thumb and my middle finger and grab that yarn there, and that's the tail. My other hand is putting my finger on the stitch that's on the hook. I have this hook facing me. It's not facing away, it's facing towards me. I'm going to shift my hand towards me like that, so that that yarn goes over that hook. I'm going to grab it with the hook so that yarn is inside that hook, still holding the tail, and I'm going to pull that towards that stitch right there and come right through the center of it. That's a chain. Now we're going to do 4 of those. See, and I come back and I grab. Back and I grab. So we've done 4 of those. Now, holding on to that little knot, that first little knot does not count as anything, but holding on to that, I'm going to take the head of the hook, I'm going to sit it right inside of that last stitch right there. Push it through. Now again, shifting my hand over brings that yarn around that hook. I'm going to grab that yarn, pull it through that stitch. Now I'm going to come over here and grab the work here, and I'm going to pull that through that loop there. And that is called a slip stitch. And I'm going to show it to you again. We're going to slip stitch into that last stitch there. So we put the hook in, we grab the yarn, pull it through that stitch and the stitch that's on the hook, and that is a slip stitch. We have just slip stitched it to that other one. Now I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to chain 2. So now we're going to find the center. So if you kind of pull this all apart here, you see here's your chain going around. That's the hole you want right down there. It's hard to find when you're first starting out. It's difficult to make a distinction here between these stitches. This right here that's coming up from off that knot right there, that's the outside of that last stitch. And see, we're inside of the stitch with the slip stitch. This is the inside of that last stitch right there. What we want is right here between the chain and that stitch. That's the center. Now we're going to do a half double crochet. We're going to put the yarn over. Now you know that's a yarn over. I'm going to put the hook down inside that hole. I kind of pull that tail down. I grab the work here. Yarn over. Pull that yarn through there. Now we have 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And that's a half double. Let's do some more. Yarn over, go in the center, pull up a loop. Oops, dropped it. Oops, dropped it. Happens to everybody. Yarn over and pull through all 3. Now let's talk for just a minute, because I want to talk about what this yarn over here in my hand is doing. So I've put this yarn in here and I've put it over there, over that finger, and I'm grabbing that yarn with this other hand and I'm tensioning. So as that yarn slides through my hand, I'm tensioning that. So I'm going to show you that. I'm going to put the yarn over and watch what this hand does when I crochet with it. So I've got a hold of my work. I'm holding this over here with this finger. I'm going to go in. That yarn is sliding through. Pull that yarn. See how it's sliding? I kind of release a little bit with this hand to let that yarn come through. I can hold it. I'm pulling it through. I'm holding that yarn with that other hand. I'm holding it now as I pull it through. Now when I need some more yarn, I kind of release a little bit and let that yarn go. and it becomes automatic. Something else I'm doing at the same time as I'm working this is I'm taking that yarn back here that is the tail, and I'm holding that against the back of my work with this middle finger, and then holding the work with the thumb. So I'm holding the two of them together, which means when I go in there and grab, I'm going to go over that yarn. See it on the needle, on the hook? See, it's over the hook? I'm going to go over it. So I've just worked over my tail. Now, because I'm using a G hook and I'm using a fairly large yarn, this is a worsted weight yarn, that is not a hook that you normally use with a worsted weight yarn. It's a smaller hook to make a nice tight fabric for this hat. Okay, how many have we made? 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to count that first chain as a stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And how do we know? If you turn it on its edge, you can see right here where your stitches are. You're going to have that V. Okay, so here's a V. 1, 2, 3, and the top of that chain right there is 4. Now I'm holding the tail together with my fingers, yarn over, go into the middle, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, and sometimes because it is a smaller hook, you have to wiggle. Don't make it, oops, don't chain. Don't make it too terribly tight, but keep it nice consistency. Now we have 5. We're going to do a total of 10. Yarn over, six, 7, 8. Now usually this is what happens when we get close to getting all of them inside of that loop, and that looks like it's not going to fit. So we're going to take a hold of this over here on the end, this end part. We're going to take a hold of this with our thumb and first finger over here, and we're going to pull that to give us just a little bit more room. I'm still working over my tail, and do 2 more. Okay, now we're back up, right up to it again. Now we're going to slip stitch like we did when we started into the top of that first chain, which is right here. And if you're not sure, start right here at the edge of your hook and count backwards. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it's right here. Right in there. So we're going to go in there right into both of them, both of the legs. Yarn over, go through those 2 and through the one that was on the hook, and we have now joined in the top of the chain. And also I like to pull that a little bit tight, out loose, so that I have an extra little loop. I'm going to grab the back and put that yarn through my fingers like that, and then I'm going to grab the tail and I'm going to tug, and it's going to tighten up the circle. Now for row 2, we're going to chain 2, and we're going to do a half double crochet in the bottom of the stitch that we just did. So yarn over, we're going to go follow that down right into the bottom of it and do a half double crochet. So there's 2 in that one. Now we're going to come over to the next stitch, which is right here, and do 2 half double crochets. So we're going to do 2 half double crochets all the way around in each stitch. So when we get done, we will have 20 stitches. See, I'm starting to get pull on this yarn, and it feels like I'm going to have yarn barf. So if I try to do it a little more gently, I notice what's going on over here, and that is that this is getting hung right there. So instead of continuing to yank on it and get that yarn barf, I'm going to try to release it. Okay, the next stitch, 2 half double crochets in the same stitch, two half double crochets in the same stitch, all the way around. I'll see you back in just a minute over here. Now I misspoke, and I told you you would have 20 stitches. You're going to have 22. I'm coming up to this last here, and this is where we started. I usually go right back in because it feels like a space right there, and I'm going to put another one right there, and that'll be number 22. And now I'm going to join. Yarn is in the back, and I'm going to slip stitch to the top of that first chain. Pull it through and pull it through. And now you should have 22 stitches. Now for row 3, we're going to chain 2, and now we're going to do a half double crochet in each stitch all the way around. We're not going to increase, we're going to just leave it as it is, no increasing. And that's not in the one below, that's in each of them around. So we're not going all the way down and digging into just below it. We're going to go to the next one, and that's going to be this one right here, right next to it. This is the one we're on, and this is the one next to it. So each row will still have 22 half double crochets. Oops. You will notice as you start to work row number 3 that your work starts to pull in on itself, and that is because basically without an increase, it's stacking. It's stacking the stitches right on top, and that is exactly what you're wanting. That's how it starts to make the shape of the hat. I'm back around, and I'm going to join. I have 22 stitches. I'm going to join to the top of the chain. Here's the top of the chain. You can see my 2 legs. I'm going to go into those, both of them, pull through, and now I've just joined that round, and it has started to cup. Now we're going to chain 2 and we're going to repeat row 3 3 times. So we'll have a total of 4 rounds of just half double crochet around. Okay, you can do that, and then we're going to change to our white. Now when we get through with our rounds, we're going to turn this the other way, because that's what the way it cupped inward. It cups inward. That's the outside, and we'll flip it. And we'll do that here in a little bit, but continue to go around and let it cup inward, and then when we change colors, I'll show you what we do next. I've come around to the last of that 4th round of the half double crochets around. I'm going to join this, however I'm going to change to the white. So this is what I'm going to do. Bring in my white. Get my tail, and I'm going to put my needle, my crochet hook in there, loop that yarn around, and I'm going to pull it through the loop of the red, pull that tight, pull this tight to kind of pull them in, and now I'm going to do a chain 1. Now what this does is it doesn't give you another piece of white showing above here where it's not going to be a part of things. So just tighten all that up, pull my white, pull my red, and then I cut my red. Now I'm not going to work over these tails because I don't want this to be too jumbled up right here where we're starting. So I'm going to just tuck those tails kind of in here out of my way. Now we're going to do single crochets instead of half doubles. So we're going to go in right there, right next to where we have already done our chain 1. We're going to go right in next to that and do a single crochet. So with a single crochet, we're not going to yarn over. We're going to go straight in, then yarn over, and then bring up a loop where we'll have 2 loops on our hook, yarn over, and pull through both loops. That's a single crochet. And then we're going to do this all the way around. So when you get done, you should have 22 single crochets. Over, pull through the both. Go in. Oops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. Okay, do that all the way around. Isn't that looking great? Doesn't that just say Christmas? Now coming up to these last 2 stitches, that's 21. 22. Now we're going to join to the top of that first stitch. Okay, now you're going to chain 1 and you're going to do another row of the white. So single crochets all the way around, and just sort of keep count. Make sure you have 22 when you get to the other end. Now I have joined to the top of this second round, and I'm going to bring in my fur. You can use whatever you want to use. You can use like the fleecy stuff. You can use this hairy stuff. You can use the faux fur, yeah, whatever. I don't think you want anything too thick that you're going to put on this edge, but you do whatever you think you want to do. So it can be a little tricky to join when you already have a yarn on here. So here's what I like to do. We're going to go back in to the stitch, then I'm going to put that over my hook and then pick that up and make sure I have a tail here, put that over my hook, grab a hold of those and pull them through, oh wait, nope, we're going to yarn over. Now we've got to find our tails. There's that tail. Here's our working yarns. Now I grab the whole thing. Cerberus has got a bone over here. And pull it through. Now we're going to continue on and do our single crochets. I hope I didn't just totally confuse you guys. So a single crochet with the fun fur and this white yarn all the way around. Okay, now I have joined and then I have cut my yarn and I just pull it through, pull it tight, and it is, our little beady is done. Isn't it the cutest? Now I'm going to sew in all my ends and then I will show you how I put on the pom-pom. I want to show you how to do your pom-pom. And what I did the pom-poms with is this little band of, and you can get pom-poms at your craft store and just get the pom-poms in the packages. I just happened to pick this up at the time. This is just what I saw. And I just cut the little pom-pom off. Now, I'm gonna hot glue it on, and that's what I would suggest doing. But if you don't have a hot glue gun, you can also sew it. Oh, I already have my needle out. So I just take some white thread, and I just want to show you how to do this because it is something that might be more readily available to you, would be a needle and thread. And what I do is I go into the inside and I grab a couple of strands, pull my thread through almost to the end, go back through, pull that loop down, and go through the loop. Don't pull it too hard or you'll pull your tail back out again. And I do it again. There's my little loop. Go back through it. Now I have my knot, and I'm going to go up through to the other side, and then I'm going to poke through the middle of the pom-pom. And see, I can kind of see where the pom-pom's coming through. I'm going to go across to the other side and go back through the pom-pom and back through again into the inside of the hat. I'm going to pull that tight, and it will sit just slightly off center until you start tightening everything up. Then I grab that, and I also grab a little bit of thread from the other side of that circle, pull it tight, go back over, grab the other side of the circle, get a few strands, go back through the loop, pull that down tight. This also kind of closes in that hole in the center of the hat a little bit farther. And I just do this a bunch of times. Nobody's going to see the inside. You could also use a little jingle bell and put a string in here and then hang it from the top and have it going down through the center. And then you would have, instead of it being a little hat, you could make this into a little bell with the same pattern. Now I'm going to go back through and poke back through my little pom-pom again. Then go back down the other side of it and back down in again. And a couple times of that, it's not really going to go anywhere. Nobody is going to lift it from the pom-pom, so it's not a big deal. Then I cut it, but not too close. Now we have our little hat. Now we just need to do the same thing as we did for the scarf, and I do it a little off center, so I come to the back side of my pom-pom over here, or come over here, and then it'll kind of hang tipped just slightly. Now we have our hanger, and see, it looks really kind of cute, I think, sitting kind of off centered. Now this is the little scarf that we're going to make. It's got the white on the end of it as tassels, fringe. It's got fringe. So we're going to need all three of those things again for the scarf as well. So let's get our red yarn. Now you're going to get your loop and put it on your hook, and you're going to chain 32. And I don't tighten them a whole lot. I just sort of pull it through. Right now we are going to do a single crochet in the second chain from the hook, which means this first one that you see on the hook is the loop. The next one you see is going to be the first chain, and you see the two legs right there. Now we're going to go into the second chain, and when I go into the center, I go in just above that bottom leg, and I grab 2 strands. So go right in, right above that bottom leg, and now you'll see there's 2 strands on, because it's that there's a back loop hump running across the back, and there's the top leg. Make your single crochet. Now we're going to do a single crochet in each chain all the way across. Now if you get confused, just go right into that top leg right there. Just grab that top leg and you can do it just fine that way. I just really like the way it looks by getting both of those 2 strands when I do my single. Coming up to the end, I have 1 more to go. You'll see here, this is where I'm working, because there's my yarn that's been wrapped around it. There's my next one, my last one. And we do not go into the knot at the end. Now you're going to chain 1 and turn. Before I turn, now with cotton, this doesn't always tighten all that much, but I do it anyway. Now we're going to go into the next stitch. So you see we're kind of leaning over right here. We're going to go to this next stitch. And instead of going through the whole thing, which you can certainly do that, go through both of the legs, go through the whole stitch, I'm just going to go through this one in the front, this loop at the front. This is called going through the front loop. So we're going to do a single crochet, and we're going to go through the front loop. So just that one. Let me show you what that looks like here. See, there's the 2, and I'm just going through that one. And what this is going to do is this is kind of going to give us a little bit of a ledge right here at the front, because it's leaving that other loop and we're not going through it. So it's just going to give it a little interest right there. So working in the front loop only, we're going to do our single crochets. We're going to do this all the way across. We're coming up to the end down here, and I want to show you now what it looks like. This here off that little edge is actually our knot. We're not going to use that. So I've got 2 more stitches actually. That one, and then if you look on top, you can see here we have the 2 legs, and you can see that that is just going around right there. So that's the knot. So to always turn it up and look at your line across the top to see if you can tell what's going on there. So we just want this one front loop. Now you're going to chain 1 and turn again. And this time, instead of going through the front loop, we're going to go through the back loop. So here's looking at the front. Turn your work towards you a little bit so you can see those 2 legs, and pick up that back loop of that back leg and do your single crochet. So now you're working in the back loop only. And you can see that it leaves a little ridge right here. Coming up to the end again, you can see that this kind of slopes outward here, and you can see that this is our knot down here, and so this would be the knot for the next end of the next row. So we're going through the back loop, so we'll go through the back loop right there, and you can see that we still have, it's kind of leaning over, but we still have 2 legs going that way, and we want to grab that one there, that back one, and do that one as well. Now I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to cut the yarn, because we are done. It's just 3 rows for this little scarf. Now we're going to sew in our ends, and then we're going to fold it. So you want to lay your scarf out to where that ridge is up front. Fold it in half so that you have this loop shape. And then we're going to lay it on top of each other. And I'm going to take, after I cut these little strands tails off, I'm going to run them through here and I'm going to attach the two together. Now you can use this very same pattern to do whatever color of this that you want, because this is also the shape of ribbons. So you could make a pink one, you could make a purple one, you could make a yellow one, for whatever your cause that you are supporting. You could make one of these out of the pattern for it. Very easy. Now, in order to make the fringe, I lay my white out and I cut it. It's about, 7 inches long. Then I lay the other one out there, cut another one, that's 2. And I make 8 of these. They don't have to be exact, but close. Once I have my 8, I repeat the process with my fuzzy yarn. And what I do is I do 4 at a time. I can just grab right in the center, fold it in half, and then I grab the scarf and I start in the corner over here and try to go through just a couple of strands on the actual edge. Get that as close to the corner. It's not exact, you guys. You're not going to be able to tell. I pull that loop through, then stick my finger through that loop. Grab them all and pull them through. And repeat. Then once I'm done putting all 4 of them on there, pull it down to where the majority of the strands are and cut it straight across. And then you'll repeat with the other side. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please hit the notification bell, turn on the notification bell, hit the subscribe button and the like button, leave me a comment. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you make lots of them. I have made several. I've got to go ahead and get the pom-poms on the rest of these hats. And I've got all of my little scarves. And I've made several of them out of just this one Knit Picks Dishy, and still have some left to do some more things. So thank you very much. Have a great day and have fun today. Bye everybody.